who else would I look to? Unless you're going to say there is no face of the league, that we're just faceless right now.
No, the face of the league is still LeBron. If LeBron
hey,
James walks down the street, drops his phone as a phone break, we're going to talk about it tomorrow.
He is the face of the NBA.
No, he's not.
LeBron James was in a restaurant. Everybody in the restaurant goes, stop.
That doesn't reflect that. If Michael Jordan did it, they would do the same thing. That's right.
Everybody
that doesn't mean that Michael Jordan is the face of the NBA.
Yes, it does.
So, Paul, what does the Thunder's first title say about the landscape of the NBA?
Well, what the first title says to me about the NBA landscape, it tells me that the parity is finally here. It tells me that you have 7 champions in 7 seasons. I can't remember off the top of my head when the last time that's happened because I know every champion from 1977 till today. You know, you had the Lakers dynasty, obviously, in the 80s, the Bulls in the 90s, the Spurs throughout the whole 2000s. Then you had another Lakers dynasty. I can't remember the last time you had 7 champions in 7 seasons, and this was what Adam Silver has always wanted with the new collective bargaining agreement they put in not too long ago. I'm not saying that the era of dynasties is over because I feel like in every era there's been a dynasty, and maybe some come a bit longer than the other ones because the Lakers 2000 dynasty, in between that dynasty, you didn't have one until the Golden State Warriors. Or, no, the Golden State Warriors. And that might have spanned across, like, over 10 years before the next dynasty. So there will be another dynasty. I just don't know who, and it could be OKC. But I love that they're just so much I don't know who's going to win next year because you can easily say, okay, OKC, but we saw the same thing with the Celtics this year. I love what the NBA has done with the parity and the way the players move around now, and it's great for all small market teams, and that's what's been good for the NBA. Small market teams winning.
Yeah, it says to me we've discovered a new way of playing, and we have introduced a new wave of stars to the NBA. The depth and versatility with which the Oklahoma City Thunder played, as well as the Indiana Pacers, suggests that there's a new formula, that the riding stars, getting 2 or 3 big stars and them being the central point to your team, that's not how this worked. And I actually have a full screen here of the minutes played. I felt like something has shifted. For me, it's the fact that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Jalen Williams, as the number 1 and number 2 players on this team, played the fewest minutes that any top two players on any of the last 5 championship teams have played. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander played the most minutes. He played fewer minutes than the second most used player on any of the previous championship teams. It gives you a sense of, if you're going to stay healthy, if you're going to play at the pace that the game is now played, that you have to be able to play 9, 10 people, and you have to be able to put out a second team out there that can function on its own. And I think that we saw that there was, whether it's Alex Caruso or it was TJ McConnell, like the second units need to be able to perform at a fairly high level if you're going to hope to compete for a title. So to me, that's what we've seen, is that we're turning a page when it comes to the NBA.
It's really like Paul was saying about the parity, right, in the NBA as right now, because what do we have over the last 5 champions? And I don't know how we judge small market. What does that mean? Is it the television? What is it? Is it just the city? Because
the small market is the size of the city, which is also reflected in the television market.
Yeah, they go hand in hand.
Because even when I won the Super Bowl, they considered Tampa Bay a small market. But from a television standpoint, we were the 7th rated city in terms of television. So that's why I'm like, I don't know what that means. But beside the point that I think, you know, when you look at the parity in the NBA, where you now have Denver that just won recently, Milwaukee before that, and you start looking at now where OKC is at, you have to think from a long-term standpoint, they're in really good shape because of the youth. Because they're young, they're not going to be moving on from players anytime soon. They're going to continue to just kind of grow together. Well, now you say to yourself, this will be probably the first team that has a real opportunity to become, like Paul was saying, a dynasty. whether it wins, next year, don't win, then win the following year, or win 3 NBA titles in the next 5 years. That's the way this organization and team is looking right now, with all the assets that they have from a draft pick standpoint. And this may honestly be the first small market team when it comes free agency that somebody would want to look at because of the youth on the team and say, I want to join that team. I want to go to this market, even though Paul says there's nothing to do there.
I mean, I never left the hotel.
So Paul, would you consider looking at this Oklahoma City team? Would you be able to get over the fact that there's nothing to do there and say, I'd want to play for that team if you were a free agent?
Yeah, I mean, I look at the culture. I see who's on the team. I think it depends on, where you at in your career. Like, if I'm trying to prove myself still and make a name, probably not. If I'm a OG veteran and, I got kids and stuff like that, and I'm like, all right, I can come.
Settled.
I'm settled. It makes more sense. But the one formula that hasn't changed.
Would you go if you're chasing a ring, though?
If I'm chasing a ring? Like, what, I'm in my, 16th year and I ain't won one yet?
I mean, if you're in your 16th year, well, you probably go be at the back of the bench.
Yeah. Yeah, but listen, but this is the one thing, too. I was just thinking about this. The one formula hasn't changed, the champion. Even though it's 7 different champions, every champion has featured a top 5 player. So if you don't have a top 5 player, you can't win a title.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I don't think it says anything to me. I mean, they were one of the teams favored to win at the beginning of the season. We even picked Shai to win the MVP. He was one of the favorites to win the MVP before the season. They had the best regular season record going into the playoffs. I mean, they're a young team with the league MVP on it that then went on to win Western Conference Finals MVP, had the regular season scoring title, and won Finals MVP. It's actually makes perfect sense that Oklahoma City won. And while they are a young team and are a deep team, I think we can look back at other organizations who have won championships over the years who maybe were not as young as Oklahoma City, but certainly were deep and well-coached and had a good culture.
But I think that's where the shift is that experience, playoff experience, and veterans that have been there before have always been part of the formula on some level. I mean, with the Boston Celtics even, you go get a Drew Holiday who's been there, right? They didn't really have that. I mean, Alex Caruso, sure, he won a ring in the bubble. I don't know if that really applies.
That's
Understood.
the main ingredient.
I'm not dismissing
That's
that.
the roux and gumbo, the top 5 player.
Yeah, and when I look back at just over the last 7 years, I mean, it's been 7 years. So, you know what I mean? Like, it was 6 years before that. That's still a significant amount of time for there to be a different winner every single year.
Sure.
So the youth, to me, is an interesting element of this. To me, it would have meant much more if the Pacers would have ended up winning, because they wouldn't have had a top 5 player.
That's why it would have shook the NBA.
Yeah, their leader was not an all-star this year. Like, that, to me, would have been a much more impactful shifting when it comes to the impact that this title had on the NBA. Yeah, but the youth, to me, is the only thing that sticks out to them. Like, the Thunder, and this is no shade to the Thunder, it makes sense that the Thunder won. The Thunder were favored. The Thunder had a really good run. They had a great regular season. They had the regular season MVP. They have a really deep team. Like, it makes sense. They won. It makes sense. That's what those teams are supposed to do.
But I do think you're going to see teams look, and this always happens, it's a copycat league. Anytime somebody wins the championship, people are going to look at how they were built, what they're made of, what their formula was for winning, and they copy that. And I think that you're going to see teams spreading the wealth and looking to build teams that aren't necessarily top-heavy. Yes, they were fortunate enough to have SGA, but they're not really paying SGA top dollar. They're not paying Jalen Williams top dollar. Like, they're able to spend money to go get Isaiah Hartenstein. And that depth and versatility, to me, is a little bit different than in the previous years, where it was like you had your 5, you had like a 7-man rotation. This really was about 9, 10 guys contributing. I see that as a different thing.
I don't think you need 9 or 10 guys, though. Just because this is what this final showed, that's what this final showed. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Last year, you had the Boston Celtics, which were probably like 7 deep. like legitimately.
They were
like,
pretty close.
Like
I mean,
7 deep. They weren't 8 or 9 deep. Because when I look at 8 or 9 deep, you got 4 guys on the bench that could possibly be starters.
Yeah.
That are legit starters. That's when you really a deep team.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I still think the formula is a top 5 player and getting the necessary pieces around that top 5 player. Because look at the 7 champions, and I don't have them all around in front of me right now, but each one of them has featured a top 5 player. Shai, MVP, was
Tatum.
Tatum, was he a top first-team All-NBA?
Yeah, I mean, you top 5.
Jokic.
Joker, Steph at the time in 2022, Giannis, LeBron in 2020, Kawhi. Like, you have to have that one player. Once you have that player, everything else can fall into play. Whether you have 9 deep, 7 deep, that's the one ingredient. And you have to have that player that can, if he's not that already, maybe there's somebody that turns into that like Shai did.
Yeah, it's your formula sounds pretty legit, I would say. You know, and maybe that in an all-star, and a potential all-star.
Well, the depth will be important because you're not building these quote-unquote super teams anymore.
Yeah.
Where I will say, I don't know how copycat ready the Oklahoma City Thunder are to the rest of the league is you got to have an excellent GM.
for sure.
You have to develop players very well.
For sure.
You have to play the long game. And not every organization is that patient.
That's also true.
Not every organization is that talented at the executive level. And we don't like to talk about that because there's nothing that is sexy about that. But those suits matter. And when you're looking at organizations that are habitually good and who have those kind of meteoric rises, they tend to have people that know what they're doing in the front office who can identify players that other people have either overlooked or that they are specifically targeting to fit what it is that they do based off of the system that they run and the players that they have at the top level.
Yeah, it also helps when you're in Oklahoma City. You're not under the same microscope as New York or LA, where the expectations from the fans are we good enough? Do we have the stars? Do we have like all the things that you need to sell? You can bake it a little slower in Oklahoma
But see,
City.
I don't think, but I don't think that really matters. Now that I'm thinking about what Paul is saying, I don't really think it matters that you're in Oklahoma City versus New York. If New York had a top 5 player,
well, we're talking about the patience to develop players
roster.
and the roster.
yeah, I guess that makes you right there. that will make you right.
Thank you, Keith.
Oh, they had no choice.
appreciate
What else did they have?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah.
What else did they have?
And you had no other choice but to say that.
No, but
right.
again, it goes back to do I want to in free agency go play for OKC, or in a trade do I want to go play for them? They lucked up and got Shai. No, lucked up. They got Shai because the Clippers was stupid.
I'm not saying lucked up.
But that was the
They
Clippers.
recognized-
The Clippers didn't see what they had. So that's
Shai wasn't projected to be this.
No,
So they
understood.
lucked up.
You know what I'm saying?
Understood.
They just
I mean,
lucked
they
up
did a
and
good
got
job.
this because if Shai was a free agent, he wasn't going to OKC.
Yeah, but that's I just don't like the word luck because
okay.
they got
choose
him, but
choose
also
another word. You're smart.
Well, they have a great GM over there.
yeah,
And
they
they
have
developed
a
him.
great GM and they developed him.
I understand it, but they saw where the other organization.
Right, but even seeing that a player has the ability to develop into this is a skill.
No,
and
that you got to have.
those GMs are not, they're not just out here.
Yeah.
So they deserve the credit to build a team like this. Like that's hard to do. It's something that the Celtics do
So
very
it's
well. It's
almost
something that the
like-
Heat do well.
Yeah.
It's something that Golden State doesn't get credit for, but they do very well.
Yep.
Yeah, but it even though he was with the Clippers for 2 seasons or whatever the case is, it just feels like he's OKC's homegrown.
Yeah.
Just like all the rest of those guys.
No, they developed him. They developed him. And they brought in Chris Paul to help that development. I mean, they did so many things.
Right.
And building a team around him. And that's where I would like, yes, he's the MVP and deserves all the flowers that he gets. But he's still so brand new to this. The idea that, like, I think of some of the other star players, even like a Nikola Jokic, like, he had already grown into being a great player. We're seeing, it feels like Shai, while being NBA first team for the 3rd year in a row, really took a huge step this year. Went from being a guy leading a team to the 2nd round to being league MVP and winning a championship.
But how is that any different than Joker?
That's a huge jump.
But how is that any different than Joker?
Because Joker was already an MVP prior to winning a championship.
Yeah, but Joker grew into Joker. He wasn't
That's what I said. How is it any different?
The same with Giannis. It's the same with Shai. How they became who they were, it's about draft. Right now, it's about drafting well.
But there wasn't this 1 year leap with Shai.
For Joker, it was a 1 year. He's just like, I was like, he's that good? Then all of a sudden, he's the best player in the league? Like, it was like that for me and Joker. Same thing with Giannis. I was like, because when I was in the league, when I was playing against Giannis, and just to see him grow, I was like, he done got stronger, fast, he's jumping hard. Now, this dude right here?
Well, they're coming into the league extremely young. Like, their bodies are legitimately changing.
But they're all...
I'm just trying to think. Giannis
Giannis was...
No, when did you play against Giannis?
When I was in the... I remember my first memory when I was in Washington. He was in the Bucks.
Yeah.
So long ago.
So, Rick, has Shai become the face of the league?
I'd say he has, by default. Simply because I look at where we are right now and the year that he had. Who else would I look to? Unless you're going to say there is no face of the league, that we're just faceless right now.
No, the face of the league is still LeBron.
1,000%.
Like, it's still LeBron James.
No.
It's still LeBron
That is
James.
so...
If LeBron James walks down the street,
We've turned
if LeBron James walks down the street, drops his phone, there's a phone break, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. We're not doing that with Shai.
That's fine. That's because he's polarizing. That's
all
not because
right.
he's the face
Well,
of
is
the
he
league.
Every face of the league is polarizing.
The NBA is in sad shape if LeBron James is still the face of the league.
They're sad shape because he is the face
not
of the
in bad shape.
He is the face of the NBA.
No, he's not. No, he's not. When I close my eyes right now and I think about the NBA,
you think LeBron James?
No, I think of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I think
of
the guy who just completed the best. The guy who just had the best.
His face is directly behind you.
Yeah, it's like right there.
That may be part of it. The best. I don't think of that face.
No, it's the one that behind you the other way.
Yeah, that face. He just completed the best record the best season accomplishment-wise that any player has had since Michael Jordan.
I get it. We understand.
Michael
He could walk down New York Times Square.
Man,
and there's going to be some people that won't recognize
no,
him.
Why would you do that?
That is not
Why
true.
are you stealing
That is
my
not
stuff?
true. That is not true.
If LeBron James walked down...
Now, I was literally about to say, but I don't have it written down, but I was literally about to say, Rick. I was literally about to say, though.
That man can walk in Neiman Marcus and not get
LeBron
recognized.
James was in a restaurant, everybody in the restaurant gonna stop. The chefs, the cooks, they all, the waiters, the waitresses, the busboy, they gonna stop. Mm-hmm. If Shai walked in there,
they would do the same thing.
Oh, this guy's really tall.
No, you know what? They would.
That's what they gonna do.
That doesn't reflect that. If Michael Jordan did it, they would do the same thing. That's right.
Everybody
that doesn't mean that Michael Jordan is the face of the NBA.
Yes, he does. Because he was. Because he was.
Oh, my God.
All right, hold on. Tell me this. All right, one question, Rick. What face of the league they wouldn't do that for? Name one.
Steph Curry?
Steph Curry?
Yeah.
I mean, they gonna stop. They gonna ask him.
No, they would do that. They would do that.
Do you want to come help us?
I'm saying, Shai doesn't have that presence yet.
No, he
Every
doesn't.
face of the league has that presence.
Steph Curry.
Kobe, Jordan, Shaq, Magic Johnson. Like, they all were polarizing figures. When they walked into the building, the room just stopped. You looked up and was like...
If Shai Gilgeous-Alexander walked into a restaurant right now, people would know who he was.
If you walk up, if Jordan walked in right now for me, and I'd be like, and I've never seen Jordan before, I'd be like, is that Jordan? I'm going to stop. Like, I'm going to be sitting here on TV, and I'm going to forget I'm on TV looking like, is that Jordan? Like, if Shai walk in, I'm going to be like, okay, there goes Shai. Okay, you guys. You know, it ain't no shade at him, but I'm just saying there's levels to this.
There are so many guys that would occur with.
Well, who? No, it ain't. I can name them all.
So can I, and I didn't play in the NBA.
I can name them all. Like who's the most polarizing figure in the league? Steph?
No,
LeBron?
KD.
LeBron James.
KD.
KD. Okay. KD's not
Shai can still blend in some places.
But
a lot of places.
You're saying...
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's fresh in your mind. You just watched him win.
He has to grow into it.
He has to grow into it. First of all, his personality. Okay,
we have a brand new NBA. We have a new wave of stars. To suggest that somehow because we've known Steph and LeBron and Michael and Kobe and all these guys for years and years and years, that you have to be that before you're the face of the NBA.
What's his jersey
what
sales?
the NBA is right now.
What's his jersey sales
It's true,
looking like?
though. They up right now because they won.
But the face of the league on at some point.
Probably
lead the
not
league
better than
in-
Sophie Cunningham's. So is she the face of the WNBA? I mean,
Listen. He's not the face of the league.
He's not.
He's not the face of the league. He is the best player in the league right now.
Yes, he's the best player.
And the title and the MVP help. But to be the face of the league, you either have to be naturally polarizing and anointed in the way that LeBron was, or Jordan, or Magic, and then you have to go and win. We were not talking about Shai, when he came into the league, as being the future of the NBA.
agreed. We weren't
The
talking
team
about that
that
with
had
Steph
him-
either.
Right, but you can grow into that. The polarizing part is important. When we're talking about who the face of a league,
He has to be controversial.
no, polarizing is different than controversial.
Love or hate him. People love or hate Shai.
Who hates Shai?
Oh, people hate him as a foul merchant. Are you kidding me? There's a bunch of people that think he's not, that he doesn't deserve all that he's received.
Yeah,
Who's a
I
bunch?
don't know. Yeah, I don't know those people.
Well, there are people out there. Trust me.
If you told me KD, then I'd be like, yeah. it's
You've
a
never
bunch of
heard him
people.
called the foul merchant?
I've never heard it.
You've never heard him denigrated as a foul merchant.
I've heard that.
The face of the league requires crossover appeal outside of the NBA.
1,000%. Walk into a restaurant, everybody's going to stop. Or they're going to say he's really
Faces.
tall.
Really?
It does?
Yes.
So
Yeah,
Shai-
And
Shai-
perhaps we're moving towards a league that isn't going to have a face, and part of that is the parity, and we'll see if that actually benefits the NBA long term. Because as we know, the last 7 champions have all been from different teams. We have moved away, at least in the last 7 years, from dynasties, from the people having a villain, someone to root against, right? That's hard to do when there's a different champion every single year. It's hard to find people to hate. So we're moving away from this. We're talking about this as an energy around the league. There's not as much animosity. Everybody's friends. Rivalries are dying. Yeah. Fans aren't really fans of teams anymore. They're more fans of players. So that makes it difficult to manufacture this conversation. When we're talking about the finals itself, right?
Yeah.
Which did a great rating. Right? It was 2 small market teams without controversial players in it or polarizing players in it, and no old guard, no OGs whatsoever. I know that's not what OG stands for, but I'm saying. Okay, like none of them at all, right? No LeBron, no KD, no Steph. This may be what NBA fans are looking for now. But to say that he's the face of the league, well, then last year, it was Jalen. It was Jason Tatum, and then the year before that it was
Jason
Jokic.
Tatum didn't even have anything close to the kind of career that the kind of season that Shai had.
Yeah, but it's not all based on the season.
Yeah, the face of the league is not just the statistics.
That's what I was going to say. Because here's what I'm going to say to you, Rick, and you'll get up and leave on this one. Let Ant-Man win a championship next year. Just let him win a championship.
Yeah.
He's going to leapfrog, in people's opinion, Shai. The face of the league. You watch.
Bye-bye, Rick.
Bye-bye.
No, I mean,
So if I hear you correctly,
fact.
Joy.
That's 100% fact.
Yes.
Let him win a championship next
He's
year.
more
100%.
notable than
Yeah,
Shai.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
Oh, you don't have to worry about
You're
that.
saying
He's gonna be all right.
so the description you gave me was that Shai is reflective of the league that we're looking at now.
I don't think the league. If you're not going to say that LeBron James is the face of the league, which I feel like he is, but if we're going to say that LeBron James is no longer the face of the league, there is no face of the league.
Let me ask you this.
And I said from the very beginning that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the face of the league by default.
No,
If
listen,
I walk outside,
If anybody is the face
if
of
I
the league
walk
right now,
outside
it's Shai
Pico
Gilgeous-Alexander.
Boulevard and stop someone on the street and ask them to name me an NBA player,
They're gonna say LeBron
they will
James.
never. If I give them,
No, name
if I give them
players.
50
Before they get to
chances,
Shai.
they're not saying Shai.
Say 7 players.
7 players before they get to Shai.
Like, stop saying it's not LeBron, because was Jordan the face when he came back in Washington?
Absolutely.
Was he?
1,000%.
Yeah, he was still the face. When Jordan came back, immediately back to the face of the league. On the Wizards.
Yeah,
So
on
to
the
say
Wizards.
LeBron, even though at an older
I wanted to
age,
go to the Wizards.
I mean, it's not even shade. The face of the league is a transcendent superstar.
1,000%.
That is in every single commercial, that is in every single show, that is in movies, that is popping up and play. It has lotions, like it's infinite.
Yeah,
like the limit does not exist for the face of the league.
The next potential face of the league.
I think you guys are talking about
It's all part
historically
of it. It's all part of it.
transcendent players, and there's a handful of them.
Yeah.
And I don't know that.
But all those
I don't know how
guys-
many can ever ascend to that, and they will always be connected to the NBA, and they will always be a face or a person that a majority of mainstream people,
But that's
or people
what we're
who
saying,
aren't
though,
basketball
Rick.
fans,
That's what
will
we're saying.
think of with the NBA. But then you're
not.
if you're using that definition, then you're just saying that there's a multitude of faces of the NBA because they've established themselves and their connection on a wider plane. And I'm looking at the NBA as it is right now.
He's not there
And
yet, man.
and those who are in it.
He's not there yet. He's still young. He needs to win more. He needs to do this again and again. And his market doesn't necessarily help him either. Personality-wise, we just talked about him yesterday, about just the way he celebrated, just his
unreal.
personality.
You know, it just doesn't seem real. It was just like, you know, it's all just happening right now.
You change your voice.
No, that's like
But you have to have a personality. Joy is right. It's commercials. All of those things are part of it.
I'm going to tell you who the next face of the league is. The next face of the league is going to be Wembanyama, because he's going to check all those boxes.
And if he gets a championship, yeah.
Even before, he don't even have to get a championship. He's just on his way to that, because Jordan was the face before he won. LeBron was the face before he won.
Yeah, but Jordan just has such a
You know,
cool
it's just that Magic came in and won right away.
Mm-hmm.
Bird won right away. But Jordan was when Jordan came out with the Jordans in the dunk contest, he won it. Once he won the dunk contest, he was the face. You know, he didn't win no championships yet.
No, but
there's different ways to get there.
But the dunk contest was just so, you know, all that. It was
Like,
just
once
crazy.
he went to the free throw line, it was over.
Yeah, he's just a
Like,
punk.
Wemby is going to do something like it's going to be over, because the stuff we're going to see him do out there is going to be so incredible. 10 blocks, 10 assists, 10 rebounds, 10 points, 10 steals.
Cool factor
He's going to do
does
something
matter.
crazy.
If they go back to back, or they become the next dynasty in the next 3 to 4 years, 100% he will be, because he will have been in our faces at the height when the most amount of casual fans are watching, which is the NBA Finals, and we will be seeing him at his height. But if that doesn't happen, which for the past 7 years it hasn't, we're not just going to keep moving this assignment to the next person that has a great season every year. Maybe there isn't a face of the league anymore, because that's what the NBA has strategically designed. But yeah, I mean, until I can argue with someone on the street about anything that has to do with Shai, I don't think that he's there yet.
Argue on the street, huh?
He's my face.
You just want to walk
He's
into a
my
Starbucks
face of
and be
the
like,
NBA.
hey.
I mean, I'm just like walking to Starbucks, like, hey,
well,
everybody, I'll give you $5 if you name an NBA
That's a
player
good
right
one.
now.
He's your face.
He's
of
my
the-
face of the NBA.
It's okay. You lose again.
You got the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shoes yet?
No, they're on order.
Yeah, all right. How much they cost?
They gotta make them first.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.